Picture this. The morning sun bathes Rome's Forum Boreum in a golden glow, its marble columns gleaming as merchants hawk their wares and coins clink in the bustling crowd. It's 73 BC, and you're standing in the heart of the ancient world's greatest empire. But as you look closer, the light reveals a chilling truth. This is no ordinary market. This is Rome's largest slave market, where human beings are bought and sold like livestock. At its center stands a young woman, barely 19, stripped naked on an auction block, her eyes fixed on a distant point, hollow and lifeless. Her name was once Vercinga, a proud Gaul from a village now reduced to ashes by Roman legions. Today, she's lot 47, a number chalked onto her shoulder beside a cold list of her physical attributes. Sound teeth, no scars, hips suitable for childbearing. Buyers prod her body, force open her mouth to check for decay, and press her limbs for signs of disease, treating her like a horse or a cow. She stands motionless, not out of defiance, but because months of captivity have taught her that resistance means pain. This isn't a rare scene of cruelty. It's Tuesday morning, business as usual in an empire that thrived on human suffering. What you're about to uncover is worse than you ever imagined. A system of slavery so brutal, so normalized, that it powered Rome's greatness while destroying millions of lives. This isn't just about forced labor or harsh conditions. It's about a machine designed to erase human dignity, to turn people into property, and to celebrate that process as proof of Rome's superiority. From auction blocks where humans were sold like cattle to mines where thousands died in darkness. From private chambers where masters wielded absolute power to arenas where death became entertainment. Roman slavery was a 5-century experiment in dehumanization. Drawing from the writings of Suetonius, Seneca, Juvenal, and Roman legal codes, as well as archaeological evidence like the bronze plaque from Pompeii, we'll uncover the cold mathematics of human commerce and the systematic cruelty that built an empire. And here's the most disturbing part. The Romans weren't ashamed of this. They wrote about it, celebrated it, and saw it as the foundation of their civilized society. If this glimpse into history's darkest shadows shocks you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to know the truth, and subscribe to join me in uncovering more forgotten stories. Comment below with where you're watching from. Let's connect as we peel back the layers of the past. The scale of Roman slavery defies modern comprehension. At its peak, historians estimate that slaves made up 30–40% of the empire's population, potentially 15 million people living in bondage. Every facet of Rome's glory, from its marble temples to its sprawling estates, was built on their suffering. A bronze plaque unearthed in Pompeii in 1957 lists the estate of Gaius Valerius Maximus. 30 amphorae of finest wine from Chios, 12 horses from Iberian stock, 40 slaves in good condition, various ages and specializations, total value 800,000 sesterces. Human beings, valued between wine and horses, reduced to ledger entries. This wasn't an outlier. It was standard practice in a society where human commerce was as routine as trading grain. The silver that funded Rome's legions came from mines where slaves died by the thousands. The grain that fed its cities was grown on vast latifundia estates worked by chained laborers. The luxury goods that defined Roman civilization were crafted by artisans captured in wars and forced to serve their conquerors. The journey to the auction block began long before a slave stood under the Roman sun. Military campaigns, like Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul, were designed to capture rather than kill. Caesar enslaved over 1 million Gauls, turning entire nations into merchandise. Slave traders followed armies like vultures, equipped with chains and portable infrastructure to process thousands of prisoners. Contemporary accounts describe columns of captives stretching for miles, their identities already being erased through systematic dehumanization. Piracy, a semi-legitimate trade, fueled the markets further. The island of Delos became the ancient world's largest slave trading hub, processing up to 10,000 people daily. Archaeological digs reveal its chilling efficiency, holding pens, bathing facilities to prepare slaves for display, and administrative offices where humans were cataloged like imported goods. The intake process was brutal. New arrivals were stripped of possessions and names, replaced with labels like Cyrus for Syrians or Gala for Gauls. Physical examinations treated them like livestock. Buyers checked teeth, pressed muscles, and inspected scalps for parasites. For women like Versinga, the scrutiny was worse, with intimate examinations assessing their potential for childbearing or entertainment. The psychological toll was deliberate. Public nakedness and numbered lots broke spirits before slavery even began. Pricing reflected cold economics. Young, healthy adults fetched premium prices, skilled craftsmen like scribes or physicians even more. Children were sold for their potential, older slaves at discounts due to shorter working lives. Auctioneers hyped their products like modern salesmen, while legal documents ensured buyers could return defective slaves or seek refunds for those who died soon after purchase. Specialized dealers focused on agricultural workers, household servants, or luxury slaves for entertainment, requiring sophisticated knowledge of regional markets. Financing systems made slavery accessible even to those who couldn't pay up front, with credit arrangements and investment partnerships treating humans like any other commercial enterprise. Transportation networks rivaled modern logistics, delivering specific types of slaves across thousands of miles with quality guarantees. Auctions were timed with military campaigns, agricultural cycles, and festivals when wealthy Romans had cash to spend. If this raw truth about Rome's human trafficking shocks you, smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to keep these stories alive. Tell me in the comments, what's the most horrifying detail you've heard so far? Once sold, a slave's life became a relentless cycle of exploitation. On latifundia estates in southern Italy, agricultural slaves lived in underground barracks, chained to stone platforms in cells designed to prevent escape. Pliny the Elder called these estates the green hell of Roman prosperity. Chain gangs of 20-30 slaves, linked at the ankles, worked fields from dawn to dusk under whip-wielding overseers on horseback. In the mines, conditions were even worse. Hispania's silver mines and Gaul's gold mines were death sentences. Slaves worked in near darkness, lowered into shafts where sunlight never reached, dying within months from lung diseases, cave-ins, or exhaustion. Pliny describes gold extraction in Spain, where slaves diverted rivers through tunnels to wash deposits from mountains, often buried alive in collapses deemed too costly to excavate. Tools were primitive, chained to wrists to prevent rebellion, and oil lamps could be extinguished to control behavior. Life expectancy in mines was 6-8 months, with constant shipments of new slaves to maintain production. Urban slaves faced different horrors. Household slaves lived under constant surveillance, their movements monitored, conversations overheard, and relationships controlled. Hierarchies pitted slaves against each other. Personal attendants ranked above kitchen workers, who outranked latrine slaves handling human waste. Domestic tasks included degrading acts, tasting food for poison, serving as human furniture at dinner parties, or enduring intimate violations. Punishment systems were sophisticated, using rewards and punishments to modify behavior. Flogging posts, like one in Marcus Crassus' villa, were engineered for maximum pain, with bronze fittings to stretch the body and drainage channels for blood. The flagrum whip, embedded with metal or pottery, tore flesh with adjustable severity. Branding marked slaves with their offenses or owners' whims, while iron collars bore inscriptions like, "Hold me lest I flee and return me to Marcus Aurelius." Crucifixion, reserved for rebels, was a slow, public death. After Spartacus' rebellion in 71 BC, Crassus crucified 6,000 slaves along the Appian Way, their bodies lining 120 miles as a warning. Punishments weren't just physical, public humiliation, like parades through markets or forced animal imitations, turned slaves into spectacles, reinforcing Roman hierarchies. This is history unfiltered, and it's gut-wrenching. If these stories move you, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to honor the resilience of those who endured. Comment, which punishment shocked you the most? For female slaves and young males, the horrors extended to intimate exploitation. Roman law, as stated in the Digest of Justinian, declared slaves had no legal capacity, existing solely for their master's pleasure. Breeding programs treated women like livestock, with manuals like Columella's Asterisk de Re Rustica detailing how to maximize slave stock through controlled mating. Women were evaluated for reproductive potential, their health and offspring tracked like agricultural yields. Household slaves faced elaborate intimate exploitation, performing for guests at dinner parties in theatrical displays of degradation. Children as young as 12 were subjected to violence unthinkable today. Specialized markets supplied attractive slaves, with training programs breaking resistance through psychological conditioning. Medical care kept slaves functional, not healthy, treating injuries from intimate violence to maintain their usefulness. Punishments for refusal escalated to torture, with no legal recourse for victims. Roman literature, like Petronius' accounts, casually depicted these acts as natural, while art celebrated them as expressions of Roman superiority. The Colosseum's trapdoors didn't just reveal gladiators, they unleashed condemned slaves like Demetrius, sentenced to die for escaping. Damnatio ad bestias turned executions into theater, with starved lions and leopards tearing victims apart for 50,000 cheering spectators. Slaves were dressed as mythological figures, reenacting death scenes for irony. Engineers designed machines to crush or burn victims, while priests blessed the spectacles as divine offerings. Mass executions followed rebellions, with thousands killed over weeks. Seneca described audiences ignoring these deaths, treating them as background noise while socializing. The arena wasn't just cruelty, it was a cultural institution that desensitized Romans to suffering, reinforcing their dominance over conquered peoples. Logistics rivaled modern productions, with crews preparing thousands of crosses and animals trained for maximum entertainment value. Audience participation, through voting or gestures, made entire communities complicit in the slaughter. If this glimpse into Rome's arena shocks you, smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more raw history. Comment, could you have watched these spectacles or would you have looked away? Even in death, slaves found no dignity. Their bodies were dumped in lime pits outside Rome, layered with dirt like refuse. Roman law treated corpses as worthless property, not human remains. While free citizens received lavish tombs, slaves were discarded with animal carcasses. Some bodies were sold for medical experiments or gladiator training, their teeth or skin harvested for profit. Burial practices prioritized efficiency. Urban mass graves or rural fields used as fertilizer erased slaves from memory. Religious restrictions denied them funeral rites, while documentation destruction ensured their lives left no trace. Surviving slaves risked severe punishment to bury loved ones in secret, a final act of defiance against a system that dehumanized them even after death. Archaeological evidence from slave burial sites shows malnutrition, repetitive stress injuries, and violence, confirming the systematic abuse described in literary sources. The scale of Roman slavery, 15 million lives consumed, powered an empire but left a legacy of horror. Its economic impact was staggering, funding Rome's expansion through unpaid labor. Philosophers like Seneca, who wrote about ethics, owned slaves. Poets like Juvenal, who praised dignity, bought and sold humans. Politicians debating justice enforced laws treating people as property. Roman legal concepts, absolute property rights, exclusion from protection, shaped European law for centuries, resurfacing in colonial oppression and modern atrocities. The identification systems, surveillance techniques, and punishment protocols pioneered by Roman slave owners influenced later systems like concentration camps. Yet, amidst this horror, slaves resisted. Spartacus, uprising, covert networks, and small acts of defiance preserved human dignity against all odds. Some manipulated their masters, psychology, others developed secret communication systems, and a few passed on cultural knowledge to keep their identities alive. This is a story of cruelty and resilience, of an empire built on suffering yet marked by the unbreakable human spirit. If it moves you, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to uncover more hidden truths. Comment, what can we learn from these stories today? Return to that auction block where Vercinga stood, her humanity stripped away. She wasn't a number or property. She was a person, one of millions whose suffering built Rome's glory. The Romans celebrated their cruelty, writing it into law, art, and literature as proof of superiority. Their civilization was a machine that consumed lives while claiming moral greatness. We honor these forgotten voices by remembering their stories, not just as tragedy, but as a warning. The human capacity for cruelty thrives when unchecked by empathy or accountability. Let's commit to learning from history, to recognizing the dignity of every person, and to fighting systems that reduce humans to commodities. If this journey into Rome's shadows has left you stunned, click the video on your screen to dive into another shocking chapter of history. Smash that like button, share this story, and subscribe to keep these voices alive. Comment below, whose story will you carry forward? Let's peel back the layers of history together and ensure these forgotten souls are never erased again.